everything changes.
Welcome back. I'm glad to be with you again for the second half of our journey in learning to manage your revenue. Now, to recap, last time we discussed the four pillars, a little bit more in depth, the four pillars that were exhibited by the most confident and effective marketers. And if you remember, they were using strategy, not outlook, learning to manage our emotions and not just run with them, focusing on managing revenue, not just marketing, and of course, the importance of market scenario planning and rehearsing the future and the math behind all that, right? And then the pro tip, which was it's all about the math, like everything else on farm. Now, today we're going to walk through and build out the importance of revenue management math with a high-level example and then the impact that has on farm revenue. So let's get into it. Okay, to set this up, let me ask a few questions and have you reflect on this when it comes to revenue management math, right? Progressive producers of all aspects focus on what? Well, as you think about it, my guess is these ideas will come to mind, right? You focus on increasing your production. You focus on machinery and facility upgrades and overall efficiencies. You focus on controlling costs and your cost of production, trying to be efficient. Logistics, labor management, accounting, financials, all those other elements that you need to put into place to really be an efficient, progressive producer, right? And you need to. But also ask yourself, at what cost of time and money and focus, intentional focus and effort does that all take? Right? You need to focus on managing costs. It takes a lot of math, a lot of time, a lot of research. You focus on building and paying for professional resources and relationships to help you gain those efficiencies in areas that maybe you're not as comfortable or confident in. You focus on increasing your profits, right? And penciling things out, looking how can I be more efficient. Well, what about managing your revenue, your income each year with the same amount of focus and intent? That's the question I want to jump into. So let's start with a 30,000 foot view by looking at this chart, which shows the yearly contract trading range for December corn futures from 1990 on the left all the way up to current year prices or last year prices. So each bar shows the range from high to low that the December contract traded in. Now, for the last 5 years, looking over on the right-hand side of the chart, right, we've seen a rather kind of compressed range, meaning there's not been a whole lot of opportunity if you missed selling your production in the upper end of the range, right? It didn't give us a lot of chance, and it was a very quick and tight range. One thing to keep in mind, however, is that generally the longer prices stay in a compressed trading range, when prices do eventually break out, it tends to be more of a violent or aggressive breakout. So let's not get lulled to sleep with apathy right now with the negativity in the market, thinking the markets can't move, because we've seen other periods of time where we've traded in a smaller range, and then eventually the market breaks out. Now, we can also estimate that looking over the history here, if you toss out a few of these major outlier, really big range years, generally speaking, the average trading range between high and low of December corn is around $1. Okay, again, just keeping some of the outliers out, around $1 high to low. I'll keep that in mind as we head into our next part of the example. So I'm going to walk through a little bit of revenue management math and kind of point a few things out to you. So remembering that the average trading range in December corn is about $1 from high to low, let's examine a year where the low for December corn was $3.40 and the high for that year was $4.50. So $1.10 trading range. Okay, for that year. Now, if you're a producer and on an annual basis you produce about 150,000 bushels of corn, and again, you can put in your number and do the math for yourself, but for this example, you produce 150,000 bushels of corn expected each year, right? On that 150,000 bushels, if you just with your normal efforts and kind of making some decisions here and there, say at the end of the year, when you calculate it all, you average $3.70 per bushel as a weighted average price. So you're not on the low, you're 30 cents off the low, but of course you missed out on some of the high, but respectable in a tight range year, right? Now your gross revenue in that situation would be $555,000 just on your corn, gross revenue at averaging $3.70 a bushel. What if, though, with a little bit more effort and intentional focus, you were able to achieve a $4.20 average price for your corn? Again, you're off the high, right? You haven't captured the high. You're 50 or 30 cents off the high, but you're also better off the low, and of course better than just kind of taking an average and winging it. But you had some intentional focus. Well, that additional average price, well, it's not the top of the market, would net you a gross revenue of $630,000. So between the two examples, of course, that's a revenue difference of $75,000. Now the question I pose is this: where else in your operation can you make enough cuts or changes and decrease your costs to increase your overall revenue for the year by $75,000? My guess is you're already running at a very high efficiency in terms of cost production. And you work hard to control all those costs and gain an edge on your production. And you need to, right? The point is, you could probably do the same thing on your net sales by putting some focus and effort to find that next $75,000 in increase. Now, reflect on this for your operation, right? How much better off would you be if you could effectively manage your revenue and find that additional, in this example, $75,000 in increase? And that's, I guess, one of the points I want to stress is that highly effective and confident group of marketers, they're not leaps and bounds better. They're not hitting home runs every year, capturing the top of the market. No, they're just doing things on a more consistent basis to capture that additional revenue that many others miss out on. And over time, that's what gives them an edge. Now, it's possible. It's possible to gain that edge and be more appropriately effective with how you manage your overall revenue decisions. And like I said, it's all about math. It's all about scenario planning. It's all about building strategies. It's all about setting expectations. It's all about building contingency plans for all the what ifs. And it's all about having the right level of resources, professional instruction on your own accord, or having the right professional guidance. It's hard to do everything nowadays by yourself. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. So finding the right professionals may be that next step in increasing your effectiveness. It can be done. And you see the theme here. It's all about math and all about those core habits. It makes the world of difference. All right. So hopefully have drilled into your brain the importance of using math like you do in every other decision on farm, but specifically when it comes to managing your revenue and the behaviors to be more effective at managing your revenue. In the next module, we'll talk about a few key considerations and how to actually take action on your revenue management approach. Okay, well, reflect on this message and the math and impact it can have on your overall revenue. And I look forward to seeing you in the next module. Our contact information will be on the next slide. And until next time, be safe, be well, and be mindful of that revenue management math.